So I've spared you the fun details of the prep. Your sanding, your priming, and then I paint with cabinet enamel. I paint the base paint. The can that I just showed you is the color that I used here. Unfortunately, I don't have an actual color number because it was a mistint, and I got the quart for $7. This is another one that I've used on some tables. It's Sherwin-Williams Emerald, the cabinet urethane. All right, first step, after the cabinet enamel has dried, I use the sponges and the Rust-Oleum decorative glaze. I get these sponges by the pack, like $3 at my favorite place to get it is Harbor Freight. But as you can see, you're just going through here and you don't have to get too much, and there's no method to the madness really. You just don't want a whole lot. You want just a slight enough to cover all of the pieces, all of the spots. You're with this sponge brush though, you're not going to completely cover it because we're going to go in with the deck brush. Now this deck brush I got at Lowe's. I believe I got it at Lowe's, either Lowe's or Home Depot. It's a deck staining brush. You can get them for as low as $7, as much as probably $20 or $30. This one I think I spent about $12 or $13. And the good thing about all the products that I have used is you rinse it out with water, maybe a little soap, and let it dry, and then you can use it again and again and again. Now this is for the deck brush, and as for the sponge, I just use it a couple of times. I store it in a rubber glove. Well, actually, I'm going to take this rubber glove off when I'm finished and store that that sponge in the rubber glove so I can use it tomorrow for my next the next steps of these pieces I'm working on right now. But as you can see, there's no method to the madness. You just kind of want full coverage right here. I noticed when I had the deck staining brush that didn't quite get enough of the decorative glaze, and so I just went back and put a little bit more on with that sponge. Now I'm going back through. If you notice the side, the very top of the table, I've already done. I did that yesterday and let it dry. But if you notice, I went and I accidentally got a little bit on there, and I just took my finger and rubbed it off, and it's not, it's gone now. So this stuff is very forgiving. I highly, highly recommend that you do one step at a time. I'm working on 2 different tables at the same time, so I can do one section, let it dry, come back and do the next section the next day. That way it's just a little bit more forgiving, and you are able to wipe all these little blemishes off. But the deck stain brush, you can see, you just kind of you brush it. The dabbing helps get everything spread more evenly. At this point right here, what I'm doing is, as I was brushing it, I could tell that there were some areas that were a little bit lighter on the decorative glaze. So I went ahead and dabbed a little bit more. You don't put this brush in the stain, in the glaze. You're going to use that. It's going to be dry when you first start brushing. But of course, some of the glaze is going to stay on the brush. So when you start dabbing, it'll go off onto the table. Now for this section right here, I just have a little chipping brush. And again, I get those at Harbor Freight. Probably, I'm thinking these are 49, 59, 69 cents a piece, something like that. But it just helps you. You're able to get some of the fine places, like in the corners and the small spots. I don't know if you're going to be able to see all of this. did it from video to iMovie. There we go. There we go. So it just kind of helps smooth everything out. But of course, it's not going to stay the same because I will have another step here in just a second. Just trying to brush, get as many strokes in there as we possibly can to give it a little bit of texture. Now this is a cool little contraption here. This is actually a pet hair broom, but my kittens don't have enough pet hair to warrant the broom. So when I got this, I realized it's not going to do me any good. But as I was watching a few tutorials, I saw that they're using pet grooming brushes. Well, I don't necessarily have a pet grooming brush on hand, but I sure did have the broom. So it's a little bit bigger than what I need for it to be, but at the same time, it does the trick. And as you see, you're just going to brush that on each piece of wood, each section of the piece of furniture that you're going to do to give it a little bit more texture. Then we go in with the straw broom. And again, I thought that if I heavy-handed it, if I pressed it on too hard, it was going to mess it up. No, it does not. It actually makes it look more woody and textured. The heavier that you put it in, the heavier your hand is when you drag this across the surface. So all I'm doing right here is just kind of basically sweeping these sections. And the good thing about these brushes is you can still get in those small sections just by grabbing just a part of the brush and doing that. You can also use a makeup brush as long as you're not very heavy-handed, because the makeup brushes, of course, are really soft. These are more rigid. And then I go back in with the chipping brush, get a little bit more of that texture. And guess what?
And that's it.
That's it.